Thanks for entering the crypt with us. We're Bone Patrol. I'm Aaron.
This is Tyler.
Chris.
And no Max today.
Sad day.
Yeah, Max has been working some night shifts, a little tired, so we'll see how long before he comes back on.
I don't know. He's part of my theory on this one. I think he's up to no good.
Today we're covering the age-old mystery of who put Bella in the Wych Elm.
Is this a Dr. Seuss book?
It's a Dr. Seuss mystery.
I didn't know he wrote mysteries.
They weren't very successful, so this is only one.
Oh.
Yeah. So, on the night of April 18th, 1943, four boys were exploring, or in other words, trespassing, Hagley Woods in Worcestershire.
Worcestershire?
Why are their names so hard to say?
Sounds like a hot dog brand.
Is it Worcestershire? Worcestershire sauce? Is that where Worcestershire sauce comes from?
I'm just going to claim we're American and we can butcher it. I guess that's fair. We butcher it. Worcestershire, England. Hagley Woods is a plot of land on the Hagley Hall estate. At the time, it was owned by Lord Cobham. And their names are fantastic. His name is Cobham.
Cobham Worcestershire sauce.
Oh, Lord Cobham. Some visitors have come.
That's probably the gamekeeper. So, these four boys were Bob Hart, Tom Willits, Fred Payne, and Bob Farmer. They were out this night poaching rabbits to feed their families and to escape the nightly bombing raids that kind of terrorized their hometown of Birmingham. This is so hard for me. I have tried to say, I practiced literally an hour trying to say all of these different names, and I'm still just absolutely slaughtering it. Their hometown of Birmingham that would just constantly get bombed every night by the German Luftwaffe.
Imagine having a curfew, but it's just you don't get hit by a bomb.
Well, is the curfew opposite where you have to be out of your house at this time so you don't get bombed?
I mean, I have no idea.
It's like a reverse curfew.
Reverse. All right, everyone, midnight. Everyone's out.
So the four boys were out there during this time. A lot of families were having a hard time making money. That meant having food on the table. So they were out trying to get some rabbits to feed their families and honestly just to have some good fun exploring as friends. From here on out, what we're going to do is we're going to refer to everybody as their last name simply because somehow there happen to be two Bobs in this group, and that's going to get very confusing if we're referring to everybody as their first name. So we're just going to go off last name solely, and so we're going to go from there, just so you know. So while sneaking around Hagley Woods with their dogs by their sides, looking for rabbits and avoiding the estate's gamekeeper, Farmer stumbled upon a wych elm. And a wych elm sounds really spooky, and I kind of looked into it. It has some other names. There's wych elm, Scots elm, Scottish elm.
It's just a species of tree.
It's like the most common tree in this area. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But the name wych elm is really cool.
Well, I mean, this specific wych elm looks cursed.
It does. I mean, we have a picture of it, and it just looks like it's just branches shooting out everywhere, and then you've got it looks like a pretty big tree. I mean, it looks maybe, would you say 30, 40 feet tall, maybe?
It is massive. It's huge. Massive tree.
It kind of looks like the guy from Yo Gabba Gabba with the big fuzzy hat, but if he was from hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a fair description of this tree. So Farmer stumbles upon this wych elm, and he thinks he's hit the jackpot. He's gonna find a bird's nest in there. He's gonna get some eggs. He's gonna get some food. So he climbs up the wych elm, which I can only imagine took him quite some time. This thing is pretty big. He climbs to the top, and he looks down, and the whole trunk of the tree is hollow down through the center. And he looks inside, and he sees something glimmering white, and he gets really, really excited because he's hit the mother lode.
Hey, Bob, we got eggs. Oh, good job, Bob.
And so Farmer reaches down the center of the tree, starts pulling up what he found, and what he pulls out would haunt him for the rest of his life.
Eggs.
Hey, wait a second. This ain't eggs.
Staring back at Farmer was a human skull.
Not eggs.
Yeah, I don't think those are eggs.
Not eggs. Not eggs. I repeat, abort. There's not eggs in this tree. And so Farmer's just looking at this human skull. And at first he's like, it's just got to be an animal skull, except for the point that there's a tuft of human hair stuck to the side of the skull. And that's when he pieced it all together that, holy cow, I'm holding a human skull.
Could you imagine him gripping this skull and looking at it and he goes, this looks like an animal. Oh my gosh, there's hair on it! Ah!
Well, he notices the human hair, he notices the crooked teeth. He's like, well, this isn't an animal, this is a person. And holy cow, we're trespassing on a very, very rich person's estate and just found a human skull in the tree.
I wonder if they thought that the rich person, the Lord, was it Cobham? I wonder if they initially thought that he was like some kind of like serial killer, like this fancy man who likes to hunt humans.
Maybe this is where the like, what is it, the most dangerous game comes from? The book.
No, that's pretty cool.
It's true. It's true. But I mean, I understand these boys are young. I think like 14 to 17 years old. So their first assumption is like, we're going to get in trouble for this. If we tell anybody that we just found a human skull inside of a tree where we're trespassing, we're going to be the ones who get in trouble. Because they're kids. That's just immediately what they assume is going to happen. So they make a promise to each other to tell nobody about what they found. And then they all head home. But one of the four boys, Willits, it was bothering him so bad to know that they found human remains in this tree, and he could not keep it to himself. So he didn't wait too long. Some reports say that night, some say just a few days later. He goes to his parents, tells them what they found, and then they go to the police and report everything that they had seen.
All the other boys are like walking home unscarred, and then they're just like, hey, yeah, we're going to school tomorrow. And Bob's like, skull? Did you guys say something about a skull?
He's just having PTSD in his anatomy class.
Could you imagine being his parents? Hey, Mom and Dad, I found something the other day.
Honey, you can give him the talk.
Honey, this is about the birds and the bees. No, I found a skull. Oh, thank heavens. Oh, gosh. Oh, I thought you really messed up this time, Tommy. Oh.
So police immediately quarantine the area with the Wych Elm and begin their investigation. What they found in the Wych Elm was the skeleton of a woman. One of her hands was missing. Bones were scattered all around the tree. An imitation gold ring and a pair of size 5.5 blue crepe soled shoes were also found near the tree.
He kind of sounds like a mixture of Elvis and a pirate. One hand and blue shoes, baby.
My question is, crepe shoes. That sounds kind of delicious.
Well, I mean, it is made out of a tree.
Ooh.
It's just a soft type of rubber made out of a certain tree. They call it the rubber tree.
So you can't eat it.
Oh, you can. It's just not preferred.
So
okay.
Police had just stumbled upon the body of 1943's greatest Elvis impersonator. And they didn't know who this was. They also, clinging to the bones, they found old scraps of cloth. And then inside the skull, they found a taffeta, which is just a synthetic silk. A taffeta rag stuffed in its mouth, indicating that this person was suffocated.
Speaking of things you can't eat, you can't eat rags.
Can't eat taffeta.
I thought that was like an Italian version of like, not Italian version, an English version of like a pasta.
I mean, they can have pasta in England.
And in her mouth, they found lasagna.
Oh no, that's my lasagna!
Indicating that this person ate food.
Oh gosh.
And she was Italian.
That's the worst kind of person.
So after finding all this, they get Professor James Webster. He's a medical examiner to kind of look at everything and give them his best conclusion of what he thinks went down. So Webster looks at everything and concludes that the skull belonged to a 35-year-old woman, had a crooked set of upper teeth, light brown hair, was 5 feet tall, had given birth once, and died 18 months previously. Putting time of death October 1941, Webster concludes this was murder.
They're all like sitting around. He's like, okay, guys, this is what I've gathered. Crooked teeth. Like, we could see that. 5 feet tall. Can see that. Died about a year ago? Oh, this guy's an expert.
Well, okay, also imagine the boys at this point. Because they're still, these boys are like, they're going to pin us for this. It's like, she died a year and a half previously. Like, thank goodness.
I knew my boy Tommy wasn't a murderer.
And Webster states, this is quote, straight from Webster, "I cannot imagine a woman accidentally slipping in there. Neither do I think it reasonable for a woman to crawl into that place to commit suicide."
She's missing a hand, so it would be hard to get up that tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it seemed reasonable that somebody had placed the body in the tree, and it would have had to be done before rigor mortis set in, meaning the murder would have had to take place nearby in order to get the body there before all the muscles tensed up, making it too stiff to actually fit down the hollow center of the tree.
He just sounds like he's the one who killed her.
Webster does know a ton of information off of like some bones and a skull.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and it would have had to be killed before, and then you got a couple hours to get in the tree. Trust me, I know.
Well, and also I think she kind of deserved it because she was kind of mean to me. I think from the perforation in her skull, you can tell she had a mean demeanor about her. I did not kill her. I did not.
I did not do it.
Well, to add to that, Webster then says, "It was an excellent place for the concealment of a murder, and I think it indicates local knowledge."
Yeah, he did it.
So him?
And so naturally, police don't look at Webster and start investigating other things.
I feel like not many people back then got proper schooling, so how he's the only person that's spitting out what seems to be factual knowledge. And so they're just like, yeah, this guy is great. He knows exactly what he's talking about.
He's got a medical degree. Everything he says is the truth, and he's not guilty.
Back then, you just had to write on a piece of paper, Dr. Webster, and you were a doctor.
I am doctor. Please give me money.
So police then continue to contact every dentist in the area, just trying to check all dental records they can, see if anybody can identify this very unique set of teeth the skull had. Nobody was able to, so they then go and spend hours and hours skimming through missing person records, and still can find absolutely nothing that matches what they found in the Wych Elm.
I didn't even know they had dentists back then.
No one wanted to go to them because, they didn't really have... They probably have, a hammer and chisel. All right, we're going to remove your teeth.
It's just Dr. Webster again. He's just wrote his name, Dr. Webster.
Dentist Webster.
It was only 1940. It couldn't be that bad. In the 1940s?
I feel like most people, have that fear of going to the dentist because of just, tools and...
So the police could find no leads, so investigators decided to use the personal objects they found, so the ring and the shoes, to try and identify the unknown woman. The shoes were traced back to the Waterfoot Company in, my goodness, the name of this place, Lancashire?
Lancashire, yeah. It's probably near Lanchester? I have no idea.
I don't know if just because their names are similar means they're near each other in proximity.
Maybe.
But back to Lancashire, the company who made these shoes stated every pair of these shoes they made, except for 6, were all sold to the same market stall in Dudley, which was located 11 miles away from Birmingham.
Interesting.
Early version of a Supreme drop right there.
Yeah, and so this was just supporting the idea that it was something local. She was local, that everything happened locally and wasn't a drifter. This is Webster's support of this. So over the weeks, the trail became colder and colder, and eventually the tragedies of the current war were enough to make everybody forget about what they were calling the tree murder riddle. And that's kind of where it ended for a while. It was really interesting for the first few weeks, and then as it went on, people just, they had way more on their plates to worry about because of the tragedies that were occurring around them. And then 6 months later, a mysterious message appears. Christmas 1943, written in chalk, appears on the side of a house in Old Hill, states, "Who put Lubella down the Wych Elm?" And for the first time ever, a name had been connected to the body.
Lubella. That's a really like old name, I feel like.
I mean, it is 1943.
I guess that is pretty old.
Well, and if the person was 35 years old, and I mean, they're
1915 or 1910s that they were born, or 1900s. Yeah, I mean, interesting.
yeah. And so over the next few months, similar messages began popping up, all in the same handwriting, and gradually the messages changed into who put Bella in the Wych Elm. Police were never able to track down who was leaving the messages, and then in the late 1940s, similar messages popped up again, asking the same question, who put Bella in the Wych Elm? And then the messages ceased, and the mystery still remains unsolved.
So the last one, just for fact, was written in 1999.
So
interesting.
another one popped back up. Did it just say who put Bella in the Wych Elm?
That was the last ever. That's the last one recorded.
I'm sorry, but why out of when we talked about the writing were you so concerned with their old name from the 1910s?
I don't know. I've never met someone named Lubella.
Have you been to the South? I'm pretty sure half of them are named Lubella.
I've never been to the South.
It's just such an odd thing to be worried about.
It's just a name.
But like we're about to we're making a big step in this murder case, and like who wrote it? We got a name, and you're more worried about that's an old name.
All right, so we have a skull here. It's got some hair on it, crooked teeth. We could use that to identify this mysterious person. And
Sorry, doctor. Did you see her name?
No, what does it say?
Lubella.
Holy cow! Stop all investigation right now.
Everybody, this girl's name is Lubella. Loser. You're old.
What, are you born in 1910?
Oh, yuck. Anyways, so there's graffiti around. Lubella, we're getting a name to the body.
Well, it's the first time ever. They never had anything, and then all of a sudden someone shows up mysteriously writing, leaving chalk messages, apparently giving a name to this body, insinuating that they have some connection or no information about the murder that other people don't, but no, they never find out who did it, and then they just stop leaving messages, and they never find out anything more about it, and the mystery still just remains cold.
The cops just see Webster buying a ton of spray paint, and they don't think anything of it.
Well, chalk. It's like, well, it's interesting that Webster also owns the largest chalk factory in England.
I swear it wasn't me. I really like chalk.
This man's a doctor. He couldn't kill somebody.
Also, all 15 of the last girlfriends you've had were named Lubella.
It's just an old name. I like it.
He's into older women.
A man of my taste.
Whoa!
I'm kidding.
I don't know.
I don't think so. And because of the mystery surrounding this story and the big part of it being unsolved, all sorts of theories have spawned. People trying to either claim they know what happened or just trying to use the information around what was found in the investigation in the time period to try to come up with their own theory on what has happened.
And I feel like back then people were so invested in a good story, the theories alone kind of muddy the water on it, because they start focusing so hard on theories that are kind of iffy, and they focus on them for so long, and they kind of just ruin the chances of figuring out actually what happened to her.
Well, yeah, they take one aspect and they superly focus on that, and they're like, well, let's build a theory around this. It's like, well, you got to look at the whole picture here.
And yeah, that's the problem with it, is I think the whole picture gets kind of smudged with it. I feel like, I don't know if forensically you could get enough information to run some accurate DNA tests back then or anything, but it just sounds like they weren't focused on that. They were focused on building a fascinating story for the time.
Yeah, and that's what some of the theories definitely seem like. And this first theory kind of sounds like that, but this first one is right up our alley. It's the dark magic theory.
All right, and the dark magic is most definitely up our alley here. So I did a little bit of research, and one thing that is a key aspect to this part of the story is that she's missing a hand. And I don't know if we talked about this, but they found the remains of the hand further down, still on the same property, just not close by the tree. And so people instantly dove onto some witchcraft here. Witchcraft at hand, if you will.
She's a witch.
Well, so what? I mean, they jumped on witchcraft. Why didn't they just assume immediately, like I would assume, is that an animal, like, bit the hand off and ran away with it?
Well, the unique thing with this one is the missing hand is a very popular supernatural thing where they call it the hand of glory, where they'll cut off a hand of a criminal generally, and it's usually the left hand because everyone knows the left hand is the most evil of your hands. You can't control that thing.
Yeah, all left-handed people are evil.
Left-handed people.
Or they just have more control.
Highly doubtable.
Left hands, Anyways, so they'll cut up the hand, and generally what they would do is either pickle the hand or they would take the dead body of the criminal and take the fat out of their body and make a candle out of it, and then have the hand hold the candle. And supposedly when this hand was holding the candle, it would have supernatural powers that they could call upon. The only problem with that is if that's what they were doing with the hand of glory here, they didn't follow through with the ritual. Like, they cut off the hand and like, oh, this is way grosser than I thought, and they just dumped it down the road. Like,
well, I mean, what? Okay, so I've read that it's supposed to give powers. What powers? I could never find what powers people are supposed to receive from doing this super strange ritual.
Well, I like to think you'd get an extra hand, but it will be protruding out of your chest, and so you'd have this third hand, and you can like hold stuff, and then you can eat from that third hand.
Wait. Is the third hand the one you cut off, or is it by cutting off somebody's hand, you then gain the power to grow a third hand? Is that what you're...
That one, the latter.
That's what you believe happens with the hand of glory.
That's the coolest power.
it kind of sounds like an occult sham wow ad right now. Like, you don't even have to use your other two hands.
Just cut off someone's hand, do this ritual, and grow a third hand.
Wow.
I mean, I was wondering if maybe it was more of like a chaos magic style, where they use it as like almost like a replacement of a sigil, and they focus all of their energy into it in order to make other things happen in the world.
So here's the thing with it, is I couldn't find anything in specific that it would do. It sounds like it's a pretty generic supernatural power that it possesses, but I wasn't able to find like any cases where they would actually use this to their ability to do anything. I think it's more so like you wear a pendant of a pentagram for the sake of it being a pentagram. I think it's that kind of thing, because it originates from like old law, where they would cut off the hand and they would do the same thing, but it would be to demonstrate to the people like, hey, you break the law, we cut your hand off. Like an eye for an eye kind of deal. Like how they do with Islamic law, where if you steal, they cut off your hand.
Well, and then also historically, it was always male hands, right? This is the first time ever that it was theorized it could have been a female hand.
I don't know if it was the first time ever it was a female hand, but generically in the past it was always a male who was about to be hung. They would cut off his hand, and then when they died, they'd make the candle from his fat. Whole situation.
Okay.
So my question is, where do they sell these candles?
Well, so they had them on sale at Target, Black Friday deals.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Next Black Friday, I'll get some.
They get a hand of glory and a candle for it to hold.
I want a scented one.
$19.95.
They scent it by making them eat certain items before they hang them. So they just eat a ton of flowers.
So, like, if I want, like, a Georgia peach kind of scent, I would feed them peaches.
Georgia peaches, yes.
Georgia peaches, yes.
Because it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Ew.
So anyways, pretty much there's not a whole lot of reason for them to do this. At least if they were going to do this, it seems like they backed out because they didn't pickle the hand or make a candle from her fat that we know of, at least.
I'm also convinced, though, if someone's doing witchcraft, they would have had a use for the rest of the body as well. And so it seemed very unnecessary to, like, climb up a tree, throw it in the tree just to take the hand.
Yeah, it just... The whole situation about the witchcraft theory seems odd, but it's the type of thing that people back then would just bite into.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely the funnest theory.
Oh yeah, I mean, I want to believe it was witches came flying on their broomsticks. They see the Nazi planes and witches come falling out of them. Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy.
Could you imagine being like a German airplane pilot and you're looking and you see this like witch with the broom and you're like, what is that?
Well, that's something Nazis would love too. They love the supernatural.
Oh, they did.
Spirit of
and,
destiny.
And a really popular, like, ritualistic burial was to entrap people in trees as opposed to regular burials. That was just part of the convincing this was witchcraft.
Yes,
Yeah.
it just seems like a good theory for the time.
Now, I mean, if you want to support it, if this is the theory you want to stick on, it was also known at the time. So deadly nightshade, which is witch hazel, which is very, very associated with the occult and rituals and witches, is also connected to Hagley Woods, which is also, I guess, it wasn't at the time unheard of to be part of, like, witchcraft. Like, when people tell stories about witchcraft, a lot of times they could happen in Hagley Woods.
Oh no, Martha had a book club. Jenny had witch club. Back then, witches were bumping, dude.
I mean, it was the cool kids club. Everybody was a witch. If you weren't a witch, you were a warlock and you were a loser.
They weren't hanging them anymore, so it was time to be cool.
So like a Sabrina Teenage Witch style,
But cooler.
but cooler.
But way cooler.
Yeah.
Because they killed people and they made candles.
Did they eat babies?
They made candles. That was about it. They cut off hands and made candles. It was like Bath and Body Works,
Oh, but witch style.
but witchcraft.
Cool.
Witch style.
The next theory, now this is where it starts to become a little more like, if you're not into the supernatural, you automatically, anything that's supernatural you disclaim is like, this cannot be true. This next theory is for you. It's Bella the Spy.
I mean, that sounds super sick. It's an early day secret agent Cody Banks here.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing, before we get into this theory, the one thing we ran into was we all did our research and we came together and were just talking about what we had found. And we all had read theories about Bella being a spy. What we found is all of our theories were very, very similar, but had some very interesting facts that were different. So it's hard to say like what the original theory is, but they're all pretty similar. So we're just gonna do just an overview of what this theory was. But because we found there's just a lot of them. There's just a lot of theories that are very similar, but have enough key differences to make you think like, what the heck's going on here? So this theory, we're going to pull most of this information off of crimereads.com, and we'll have all the links like we do with all our videos in the bio, so you can do your own exploration and make your own theories and hit us up with them. So during World War II, several German spies were captured in the UK, and as a result, in 1953, the Bella and the Wych Elm really, really was popular. People were loving it, and a new theory came up: war espionage. And the Wolverhampton Express and Star, they got this letter from somebody who was saying their name was Anna of Claverley, and she claimed to have identified or have information on who Bella was.
This is like, shout out to our first episode ever. This is like a Mel's Hole Art Bell thing all over again. This is early Mel's Hole.
So is it Anna? Does Anna go on a radio show and like, hey, I have the lowdown about Bella?
Well, she was interviewed. She was interviewed by journalist Wilfred Byford Jones, and according to Anna,
Oh, what a cool name. This guy sounds sick.
Wilfred Byford Jones.
Yeah, he sounds intimidating.
Well, Anna tells this awesome guy that Bella was a spy and that she was trying to find information about local munitions factories that could have been targeted by the Luftwaffe and bombed.
Just doing her job.
Yeah, she's doing her job. So they do some more research. Turns out Anna was later identified as an Una Mossip.
That's a weird name.
Well, it is a strange name. But Una Mossip had a husband, Jack Mossip, who was an RAF pilot, and he said he had witnessed Bella die. So, this is getting good. This is a lot of information.
They just land, they parachute in, and they see a trail of bratwursts heading to a tree, and he's like, no, don't follow him. She's in the tree.
Well, you wait. So Jack tells him that there was this spy ring with a Dutchman whose name was Van Ralt. And Bella was all intertwined with these spies. And one day, Van Ralt, accompanied by some woman who Jack is claiming to be Bella, got into Jack's car. And shortly after, Van Ralt strangled the woman. And that was it. She was a spy, so he strangled her. And Jack, I guess, was just cool with this.
Hey, Van, what are we gonna do with the body in the trunk?
Oh, I mean, I put it in a tree. We're gonna put it in a tree.
Okay, but why do we have to put it in a tree?
We're gonna make candles.
Okay, can I have some? I'm kind of running low at my house.
You can have her left hand specifically.
Okay, thanks, man.
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe Jack's a witch, and he just like sees this moment of opportunity. He's like, you know what? Yeah, Von Ralt just strangled a woman in my car, but hand of glory.
I like my candles as like the other guys next to me.
Jack is similar to me, where if someone's killing someone in my car, they're gonna have to go get me like a slushie or something afterwards, and I'll keep my mouth shut, you know?
But in this case, it was a hand of glory.
Yeah, I mean that works too. Slushie, hand of glory, supernatural powers, or blueberry flave.
Equal value.
Well, if I'm being straight up though, this theory seems a lot more reasonable. Like Bella was a spy, wrapped up with other spies. Von Ralt didn't like her. And so he strangled and killed her and then hid the body.
Probably because he's a Dutchman.
Darn Dutchmen,
Yeah.
and they're strangling, bro.
Of spies specifically.
Everybody knows that. Spy Kids, the series, is all about running from Dutchmen.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
well, so there's another version of this story. So instead of strangling Bella in Jack's car, Jack and Von Ralt went out drinking with Bella, and she got super wasted. She passed out, and the two men were like, we're going to teach her a lesson for drinking till she blacks out. So they dragged her to the Wych Elm and threw her inside of it.
I can't think of a better lesson.
They were just trying to go viral. You know those videos where like they fall asleep and they push their mattress out into the pond? It was just them trying to go viral.
It was one of those pranks.
It was just a prank, bro.
Hey man, we're gonna put Bella in this Wych Elm, and when she wakes up, she's gonna be like, "Where am I?"
It's just a social experiment, bro. Relax.
And they're like, this is perfect. And then we'll laugh 15 years from now when she's sober and she has her sobriety coin. Like it's gonna be such a good like inside joke between all of us.
Such a good prank, dude.
And then a couple days later, have you guys seen Bella?
Yeah, so it turns out this fun joke and prank ended up that Bella woke up, couldn't get out of the tree, and then died in the tree because she couldn't get out of the tree.
It's okay. It's just a prank.
Well, that just means then they put her in the tree. Like, yes. Not only did two full-grown men have to drag her up this tree, throw her in, no problem. She'll totally be able to get out when she wakes up.
Two fully grown drunk men. They were out drinking.
Alright guys, we'll throw this body in the Wych Elm.
What was it, Cobham or something?
Cobham.
Yeah, he's
The
just
old
sitting there
Cobham.
from his mansion, and he's just watching these drunk dudes drag a body through, and he didn't think to report it because it's the only fun he's seen in a long time.
See, I imagined him as Mr. Burns being like, "Release the owls."
The only problem with this theory in reality is it doesn't explain the rag in the mouth. Because it was obvious that someone had strangled her beforehand. And if these guys were just planning on playing a prank, then it wouldn't make sense why they would strangle her with a cloth beforehand.
Well, here's the thing. If you're gonna play a prank and you put the saran wrap over the toilet, so when someone takes a whizzle, it drains everywhere onto their feet, right? That's hilarious. But if you want to up the prank and go more viral, you put firecrackers in the tank of the toilet, so it blows up on them too.
All right, so that makes sense. So the funniest prank would be one where I kill you first.
Yeah,
Just a prank.
What's more funnier than death?
nothing.
Strangulation.
Death
Strangulation.
by strangulation.
And so that's what kind of like people were like, I don't know, this theory seems iffy because it doesn't explain why she was strangled. And one of these theories was the original one, so whether she was a spy and strangled by Van Ralt, or she was just taken to the tree as a prank. We don't know which one was the original one that was told to the newspaper, but both these theories did eventually arise. What we do know is that Jack died in St. George's Hospital, Stafford, before Bella's body was ever discovered.
Well, the interesting part about it is he was admitted into the hospital because of mental issues.
Yeah, he would have reoccurring nightmares of Bella's skull.
It's just a prank, bro. She's pranking him from the grave.
Imagine Van being like, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
I have sometimes nightmares, but I just drink and I continue on with my life.
Well,
Van.
Van Ralt was never found. They could never find anything on this guy. So they're like, does he even really exist? They were pretty convinced that all of this was just Jack in his mental state, having heard this story 12 years later, just making stuff up.
People do that? People would lie? People would
Could you
make up
imagine
a
people
story?
just going online and just lying?
I don't think they can do that. That's against the law.
People would do something like that? That's disgusting.
At this point, it just seemed pretty obvious that Jack was crazy. He made up the whole thing, and that what he said probably didn't hold any weight to it until a few years later. Declassified MI5 files kind of gave us a little more information on the spy theory. They revealed some information concerning a German spy named Josef Jakobs, who was captured after he was parachuting into Cambridgeshire in 1941 and broke his ankle.
For those of you who speak English, his name is Joseph Jacobs, with an F and a K.
Jingleheimer Smith.
In no specific order. The F can go anywhere and the K can go anywhere. It's the same.
Wherever you want. That's how German works. So after Jakobs was arrested, they found a photograph of the glamorous German actress Clara. And I speak German. I'm having a hard time saying this. Clara Barilla. I actually have no idea how to say that name.
Oh, Barella. Ooh.
It sounds like a drunk guy saying Bella.
Ah.
So apparently this was his lover, and the Third Reich had recruited her as a spy, and according to Jakobs, she had parachuted into the West Midlands in around 1941, and no one saw her again.
She just landed straight in a tree, somehow swallowed her entire parachute while doing it.
Welcome to Looney Tunes.
Well, this would have been a great thing to go off of, except for Josef Jakobs was executed by firing squad in August of 1941, and so they couldn't get any more information from him about what happened.
Yo, this guy's giving us more info than we want. Put him in the grave.
But it seems pretty obvious this couldn't be the same Bella because the person in the picture was 5'10", and we know Bella was only 5 feet tall. And we later found out in 2016 that actress actually died in Berlin in a hospital in December of 1942. So obviously that theory got debunked pretty recently.
She was just wearing those big disco boots, you know what I'm talking about? So she looked 5'10", but she's really only 5 foot. Disco was making a comeback? A first-time appearance.
First-time appearance in Germany. That's a little known fact that Germans discovered disco before America.
Found it through supernatural
and also that Elvis is actually a Bella impersonator. Yeah. The King is an impersonator.
I knew it.
So everyone there in Tennessee, everyone there in Graceland, you heard it here, folks. Impersonator. He's a fake fraud.
Loser.
The last theory is what's sometimes referred to as lost to time theory. It's very simple. It's the idea that Bella was some form of prostitute or a homeless person, and therefore there was no way to track who she was. No one was looking for her. Easy target. And there's a lot of theories of like who did it, when they did it, who she was, but in reality, the general theory is because she's a prostitute or homeless, it's going to be impossible to identify her, and there's no real motive other than someone killed her knowing nobody was going to come looking for her.
You're speaking of a different planet. This is not the Earth I know. People lying, murdering, selling their body. Ugh. What the heck? This is fake, bro. This is weird. I don't like this.
I mean, that's just a theory.
Yeah, it's not real, okay? People don't lie. Why would they?
People don't kill.
No.
Witches aren't real.
Okay, they're real. They just don't cut off hands.
Candles aren't real.
That one's probably true. I've never actually seen a candle.
Seen a candle.
Maybe in a movie.
Yeah.
CGI, probably.
What is Bed Bath and what is it?
Bed Bath and Beyond?
Bath and Body Works?
Bath and Body Works.
Bed Bath and Beyond
I
sounds
mixed
like
my stores up.
like a astronaut's like I don't know.
And here we have our spacesuit.
We got soap, spacesuits.
Oh, well, I mean, those are the real big theories that are out there trying to explain who Bella was and how she ended up in that tree. And my personal opinion is I'm going to have to go with the lost to time theory. I mean, that seems the most reasonable to me. At first, I was thinking that she could have just been like the boys, hungry during this wartime, and she was looking for food and fell in the tree. It doesn't really explain the cloth in the mouth, though. So my guess is she was just a prostitute or a homeless person, and somebody took advantage, killed her, and just needed a place to store it.
Yeah, honestly, I think the same thing. It's interesting to see. There's a picture of her skull, and looking at her two front teeth, one's overlapped, and so I know that leads me to believe that she had she hasn't had a dentist look at her teeth. And then also, it's interesting to see. So where Hagley Woods is at, if you look at a map, you have Birmingham, and you have was it Worcestershire? Hagley Woods is right on the border of it. And so this is like almost like a middle of nowhere kind of situation where it's just maybe like a couple houses where you have that manor. And so I think she was just like a sex worker, and then maybe she used that road commonly. So I think that, someone just, killed her, stuffed her in the tree, and then there you go.
Just because she has crooked teeth doesn't mean she didn't go to a dentist. Like, just because I get a cold doesn't mean I've never seen a doctor.
I've got some crooked teeth.
I mean, yours aren't as bad as hers.
He's never been to a dentist.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Well, Christopher, what do you think? What do you think happened to Bella?
I think traveling is involved. And I think it could be either Bella was traveling or someone was passing through the town. Because the story so much focuses on, like I was saying before, the storytelling of it all, something that the people would love to hear, the witchcraft, the Nazis, supernatural activity, just something that people would want to hear. But I think it was either she was passing through the town, like she stopped 11 miles outside of town, bought the shoes, passing through, somebody killed her, or somebody killed her from that town 11 miles away and brought her body and dumped it in the tree. I don't think, because they're also focused on that area and Germany, that it doesn't, like, they sent out the dental records and stuff and didn't get a lot of feedback, but it doesn't look like they really did too much reaching out beyond that. But it would also be almost impossible with how much missing persons cases there were at that time.
Well, and also I think, so during World War II, there's a lot of young men who were just, out fighting in the war. And so, like, the police force is probably, like, really minimal, where it's just a lot of older, seasoned men, and maybe they're just, there's a lot of work, because, I mean...
Well-seasoned.
Well-seasoned, yes. Yeah, I think just the police force was, like, really small, and they just really didn't want to look into it.
I really like how you worded that. You got the young men out fighting the war, and then the older, seasoned men defending the people.
We learned earlier that that's what he likes.
Tyler.
I mean, regardless of what your theory is, whether Bella was a spy committing war espionage, whether she was simply a woman who just fell through the cracks, the story is yet to be unsolved. The mystery still holds. The question stands, waiting to be answered. Who put Bella in the Wych Elm? And with that one, I think we're going to put this one in the vault. We're going to lock the crypt. Yeah?
What was that?
That was us locking the crypt.
Ah.
Any last words on Bella and the Wych Elm?
You lock Tyler in the crypt, reopen it real quick.
Hey guys, I need to get out. I need to go.
About 18 months from now, they're going to find his body in there, and they're going to ask who put Tyler in the crypt.
Part 2.
Part 2? You've been in a crypt before? Well, with that, we'll leave you with some good night kisses. One from me. That was from Tyler. That second one wasn't from me.
What was... This one's from Chris. And then we're all going to do one for Max.
It's your boy, Mustache Max. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to check us out on social media. Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
I like it.
I think it's good.